Boom, what's up? And a Shadow Falls here. Thank you all future viewers, the new people who I'm watching this, because I decided to uh, cover a MauLer video. So we actually got a response to part one, which I uploaded. And now my chat's visible because I actually took the time to set it up. Got my Bubsy cup, got my coffee, and we are going to start this in just a moment. However, before we do, like the last video, we're going to have some backstory. We got a few responses to part one, which I expected. It was a off-the-cuff, sloppy, measured, but, it's hard to be completely measured and have it still be interesting, so I don't fault anyone for seeing that as an issue, but we're going to cover what the responses are. Funny thing, YouTube moving towards being a more family-friendly service, it actually blocked one of the comments, so you can't see it on the actual video, but haha, it popped up in notifications. So if you look, probably can't see it, but right here, we got LV4N Escritor, who says, I could easily write 30 plus lines saying why MauLer's entire video is bullshit. Well, that's not fair. The entire video is not bullshit. There's just some weird points. But I won't need to. Anyone that isn't, I guess, content warning, slur, the R word that may rhyme with tart-eyed knows that his opinion stopped mattering when he said, and I can't see anymore because YouTube does not want that kind of content on its platform. And then we have another one up here, Kaisobu F29, because I did post this in MauLer's Discord. It's probably like the first thing I've posted in there. If you want more context for kind of my motivation, again, I like MauLer. I like his content. This is not meant to be like a takedown saying that like, oh, this is the worst video on YouTube or anything like that. It's all kind of good fun. It's good practice trying to stretch one's legs for responding to, critiquing another critique. And I made some pretty bad arguments, but also feel like I made some good ones. So this person said, can't wait to see this on EFAP. And I responded to them by saying, if it is, that would be sweet, to be honest. So if they want me to be featured on EFAP, or they want to bring me on EFAP, go right ahead. It sounds like it'd be a lot of fun, actually. And we got a absolutely massive comment from channel Night Hunter, who has this really cool like GIF profile pic. I didn't even know you could do that. Night Hunter, they have given a whole list of responses with time codes to my specific arguments. So first of all, I had to say, how fucking dare you? No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much. Honestly, no sarcasm. That's audience engagement. You watched my video, you watched it all the way through, and you took the time to respond to my arguments and give me, oh, well, I don't know, you might trash me, and I haven't read it yet, but you gave me the respect of, like, actually responding to my comments and not just saying that I'm an idiot. That's audience interaction. That is someone who actually watched the video. You're probably one of the people who disliked it, but we're going to read through your entire response and address all the things, see if I agree with your criticisms of my points, see if I, pog audience, exactly. Again, people can think that your opinions are wrong, and it doesn't mean that they won't offer valuable criticism. So let's actually read what Night Hunter has to say. I think this came out 2 hours ago. So Night Hunter opens with, oh boy, there was a lot to go through in this one. Which to me implies that they've done this on other videos having to do with MauLer or EFAP, which I think is awesome. So let's see. I mean, there's a car honking outside, but that's fine. So Night Hunter starts out by saying, at 29 minutes, 25 seconds, there are scenes where it's not set to be for the IMAX. The farm scene where there is so much headspace for Superman is an easy one. That scene was directed for normal movies, not IMAX. Yeah, in the first part, I said that he shot the whole thing for IMAX. That's the answer that he gave. I think what I should have said was he was clearly framing it um, to be presented all in IMAX. So I'm not saying that he necessarily shot everything specifically for IMAX. Again, the 4:3 thing, it doesn't really bother me. I got used to it. I thought it was fine. It didn't really take me out of the movie like I know it did for some other people. So that's kind of like here or there. Clearly, the intent was to make it all match so that it would flow seamlessly in an IMAX showing. So that's kind of like whatever. I'll give you that one. 3150. For the nuke example, the nuke is already built. You just need to fire it. There is no build process immediately before the firing. Also, for the argument that there is no story if the boxes can do that is the problem. To explain it, if you follow the logic that there is no story if the villain just wins, to the end, a character getting killed and world-ending events happening every second in every scene and coming back to life with no explanation or acknowledgement from the movie is a totally fine movie to make. And yeah, that example I gave about like a nuke needs to be assembled wasn't a great example or argument at all. In fact, it's pretty terrible. But my point was kind of just like we don't know how the technology even works. So theoretically, yeah, maybe you could just design a version of the boxes that just is already put together and you just send it to a planet and boom, it works. And yeah, I know that the argument that then there'd be no story because the villain wins isn't a good argument either. It's just kind of like it. I don't really have a good defense for your point. It's more just like since we don't have enough information, I don't really see it as being a plot hole necessarily, but we can get more into it as we go through the video. If I'm not addressing this point or I'm misunderstanding exactly what you're trying to say, I apologize, but I think I kind of just agree with you. 3549, that is not dark side. Where in the movie does it show him being different from the present dark side in a way the audience can tell? Let's go to that bit. 3549. Before he became. So, okay. This is when I was talking about Uxis not being dark side. And yeah, it's not like in the movie. That is me drawing on like stuff that the behind the scenes and the comics would have me know. So that's not exactly valid, but it's very clear like his eyes are kind of more normal. If you look here, like they're not quite the Omega Beam eyes or whatever. I know him being shirtless doesn't really affect it, but it's more like the movie doesn't say he's not Darkseid, but very clearly he has changed in some way. It's very minor. That is based on outside material, and I know the common thing is, well, if it's not in the movie, it doesn't count. That's fair enough. But you know, it is what it is. I can't speak. I can only speak for myself. I know that I was talking when Sal and I were going through. Sal said, "Brute looking dude is the villain." Yeah, Shadowfall, Darkseid. Well, he's not really the villain. He's more like the future villain. Really, he's not really the main villain of this movie, which is kind of why I'm trying to deconstruct MauLer's points on it. Is because it's like the dude's in the movie for 3 minutes, so we don't really know enough. Soon trademark villain. Yes, the soon villain. So yeah, I'd say like speaking from what Sal told me, Sal has no experience with Darkseid at all. Like he doesn't know the character, and he went along with it fine. He was able to infer that the character went through changes over the years. So that's just, you know, yeah. I mean, you have a point. It's not in the movie, but again, it's kind of like, I would say, if we were going to compare it to Marvel, I know there's a bit on here about Marvel, so that'll be fun. But like Thanos in Endgame, they bring the 2014 version forward, and he's very markedly different from his 2018 counterpart. And that's in an even less amount of time. So it's more, we don't really have the screen time, but I would say that, like, yeah, if you watch Guardians of the Galaxy, for example, and then you watch Infinity War, like, you can tell that the character's a little bit different, I guess. Um, anyway, um, so 3642. So for the knowledge of when Darkseid lost the gods and a Green Lantern is there, so they will know more about Darkseid the World Conqueror, which is the information Wonder Woman knows. Furthermore, Steppenwolf specifically calls Earth the world that fought back, the Lost World, implying that this was a big moment when Darkseid first tasted defeat and almost died. Surely that is one important moment. It is. That's not really my point. I mean, yeah, I think that's actually that's very good point. Is that a Green Lantern was there, so he was probably filling them in on Darkseid. But again, that's you assuming something that we don't know. It's just kind of like I make a point in the last video about, like, if we're assuming some things, then we can assume other things, or we can't assume things if we don't know the full information, if that makes sense. So yeah, there was a Green Lantern there. Maybe we can assume that maybe he told them about Darkseid. That's a reasonable assumption. It's also a reasonable assumption that maybe I don't know, like, any of my explanations from the previous video might have been the case about the situation. So it's a fair point. I didn't even think about that. That's a very good point. I never was going against the idea that this was clearly an important moment. I'm saying, like, we don't know exactly what the situation is in the rest of the universe. So I think that by saying, why wouldn't they remember and be fixated on Earth, is that was my point, is that it's not entirely reasonable to say that they would, why wouldn't they constantly, all their attention would be focused on Earth. That, I guess that was my point. But very, very, very good, very good. 3731, the movie specifically calls out there are only 3 mother boxes, there are no other boxes. I don't want to be the guy who says citation needed. I would like to, I might need to rewatch and find if there is a scene where they say there are only 3 ever, because I know that's me, like, in the comics I know there's more than 3, and in the movie I was under the impression that that you could make more, but if there is only 3, then, you know, that might be something I missed. I can't say. 4023, the universe moves. You know, it's possible to track this. We can do it. An alien race that moves in space will have this. I mean, we don't know that. Because again, they said the whole multiverse thing, so I don't know. It's very unclear. There's also the problem of, where did the Darkseid army go after losing the boxes? If the boxes are the teleporters and they don't have the boxes when they have to travel another way, how did they lose the way then? Yeah, like, well, because again, like, my argument was, like, maybe that the boom tubes are random and how they shoot you to other planets. We don't know exactly. I guess, like, that's a bad argument because we see the portal open at the end of the movie, but that's around when the Unity's happening, so it's a bit weird. Like, yeah, it's, I guess they mention the armadas are the old ways at the end of the movie, so I guess that's pre the flashback. Uh, it's a decent point. Again, we just don't know enough. That's why I was saying, like, maybe there's more than the 3 boxes, because if the boxes are the only way the boom tubes work, then saying let's use the armadas the old way is weird, because they're apparently conquering trillions of worlds all the time. So it's messy. Like, I'm not gonna say, like, it's clean, but I think there's, like, reasonable doubt as to exactly what the situation was. 4615, where did you get the idea that Darkseid is not in charge during the conquests of worlds for him? It's because in the Flash, so this is kind of a weird thing where, because Darkseid's in Steppenwolf's place from the theatrical cut, and because Zack Snyder said in the panel that, in the tweet that MauLer shows, is that he had to go back and conquer Apocalypse so he would be in charge. That's kind of what I'm basing it on. The fact that he's the foot soldier doing it doesn't necessarily mean that he's not in charge, but very clearly, um, there's a bit more going on, and now he isn't the one going out personally to do it. So to me, I inferred that perhaps he was like a like maybe Desaad level, like what Desaad is now. Maybe he's that level. It's not clear. It's not explained. It seems to me like maybe that's what it's implying. I don't know. It was just an idea I had. 4740. Assuming an answer to an assumed problem is the problem. There are question marks. Quote, how did you lost the most important planet ever? The first planet to beat you, the planet that you almost died on, the planet that have the only mother boxes, the planet that have the anti-life equation which will result in your victory. End quote. There must be an answer to this question, and since the movie doesn't provide it, despite it being a major problem, you have to think of an answer, and when the answer is Darkseid forgot what it was, it becomes hard to take the aliens as a threat. Okay, assuming an answer to an assumed problem is the problem. So, yes, if we're saying that we can't make assumptions because it's not in the movie, then I agree. Like, your point is correct. But by saying that, assuming the answer is Darkseid forgot where it was, but the answer I'm offering up means that it sounds dumb because it's like, well, what's the true answer, right? Because it's like we're writing the movie for it, but Darkseid forgot where it was. It becomes hard to take the aliens as a threat. But again, like, to me, it didn't seem like that was what the movie was saying. You know, yeah, Shadowfall. I wasn't looking at the screen, but Boss Man too important to leave office and fight like the peasant foot soldier. Yeah, that's how it came across to me. Like, even if there's so like if you want to do like another, here's me giving an example. I swear this is gonna be better than the nuke one. Nightmaster. So if you're a king and you're like, okay, if let's say this king is like a great fighter, he could beat almost anyone in combat, right? But he's invading this other country, and his objective is to capture the noble of this castle. And if he captures the noble to that castle, the entire country will be absorbed into his empire. It's the most important thing in the world to him. But he has an army. Is he going to go there himself, or is it reasonable to say he will let the soldiers take the castle, even if he could beat the guy in single combat? Like, from a realistic commanding officer point of view, it makes a sense. It's not entirely... Yeah, it makes a certain sort of sense. Again, we don't know enough about Darkseid's character. It's weird. Yeah. It's obviously like a thing in the script that I think they should have developed a bit more. And who's to say that in the original Zack Snyder version of Justice League that would have come out, because he had a 5-hour assembly cut. This is like 3 hours 50 minutes plus like a couple extra scenes. He would have had to cut it down to like 2 hours and 40 minutes, 2.5 hours. So maybe Darkseid would have eventually been cut anyway in his OG version, because it does. You could have it where it's just Desaad, and Steppenwolf could keep the meaning in his character. So yeah, 4845. It doesn't matter if people think that exposition that explained why Darkseid forgot about the planet that have his I win button, think it doesn't affect the plot. You have to include it, otherwise why even have a plot at all? Just make a video flashing images and sound. Okay, so I kind of get what you're saying. You're saying that, like, if Darkseid getting the anti-life equation is the most important thing that has ever happened in the universe, explain it in the movie now, because it does impact it. Otherwise, why even have a plot if we're going to leave out important details like that? So I think that's what you're saying. That's true. Again, the problem with movies nowadays and series is that it's so serialized that it's very difficult to get, like, that's why when something like Infinity War comes around, that's like a very solid kind of complete story. It's very refreshing, because even though it does leave loose ends, everything is pretty much makes sense for the most part. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's kind of true. That's true. 4913. While Snyder might not have seen the other JL movie, he has seen the backlash to certain parts of the movie that are from his original cut. He chose to edit this movie with changes such as different cuts of Wonder Woman going Kal-El no. Except like the thing is that you forget the idea that maybe Joss Whedon included a different take himself. Because it's not as if Zack Snyder just shot one take for every scene and then Joss Whedon shot just one take. In the editing bay, Joss Whedon could have said, "I want this take." We don't know if Zack Snyder changed it from his original assembly cut. It's less likely than Joss Whedon changed it because he clearly was doing reshoots. So maybe that take looked a bit better with the reshoot they did. It's hard to tell. Also, there's new material added. The entirety of the end credits scene is new, for example. Yeah, I said that in my video. I brought up many times that the two ending scenes, Martian Manhunter and the Nightmare Future, are new material. So that I already said that like many times, but so I agree with that part. 50-48. So with Darkseid not choosing to go himself when he can get ultimate victory and end all fighting and resistance in the span of a day or two, he doesn't do it because he is lazy. He is letting an underling do everything even when he knows this is the famous planet that he lost on. If anything, he should go there to make an example out of them, to show his superiority, or at the very least storm the planet with endless armies of parademons. Nothing else in the universe matters if he gets to Earth. Again, like, yeah, we don't know. Like, it you know, for all we know, it's like he could, but he didn't. I mean, I don't want to use like that argument because it's like, well, he didn't because the plot needed him to. I didn't say it was because he was lazy. I tried to offer up explanations like we don't know his mindset. Like, we don't know him as a character. Again, I go back to like Thanos and Guardians of the Galaxy. We know like almost nothing about the guy other than kind of what people say about him. Flawless argument, yeah. We don't really know enough. Like, I don't know. Maybe Darkseid is a lazy fuck. Maybe he did want to give Steppenwolf a chance. Maybe we don't know. Like, I'm not saying that makes him a great character. It's because he's not a character. He's like a cameo that is setting up future films. So, and it's kind of again like my reason for breaking down these points is Darkseid's not the main villain. Like, if you were criticizing Steppenwolf for problems like with him, then it would be like, well, he's the main villain, so he impacts more of the movie, I guess. I know that like Darkseid's like it'd be like, oh, well, Sauron's barely in Lord of the Rings. It's like, yeah, so there's certain arguments like, well, then why wasn't the ring designed to immediately, why wasn't the one ring designed in Lord of the Rings to immediately take over the mind of whoever wielded it? That would solve Sauron's plans, right? So, but it's because, well, that's not how it works. It's just kind of a gimme you give the movie. No, Shadowfall, Darkseid's not the main villain. It's Spiky Boy. Let me see if I can find him. That's Darkseid. That's Darkseid. He's like he's in the flashback and he's set up in the future, but the main villain is I'm trying to see if I can find Steppenwolf. Oh, I saw his spiky face. This guy's the main villain of the movie, Steppenwolf. His whole thing is he wants to, yeah, he's the sick armor. Yeah. He wants to get back home because he was raised on a planet where apparently all they believe in is like pure evil and that Darkseid's god. So he's sympathetic because he's like indoctrinated into believing that Darkseid is like his senpai. Yeah, he looks. I like this design better, even though it's edginess personified. I like it better than the theatrical cut. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, your point about Darkseid not going himself because he's lazy. I'd say like, you know, it's just I think it's like we don't know enough. 5645, sound nuke is a good word for describing what Superman do. It doesn't matter if that is a new power or not. The effect that will have is devastating to everything around him. But wait, if you say that if it is a new power or not, the effect it will have, but how can you say what it will have if it's a new power? Because if we haven't seen it used a certain way before, how do we know how it's going to work? Like, this movie would be setting it up. So if he had previously used, like, oh, if he had said like Superman had been like in a previous film, oh, yeah, I can use the sound wave ability to send out like to like and then he does it and it like hurts Doomsday or something, and then in this movie he does it again and it just doesn't, then that would be a continuity error. But it's, you know, it's, I'm not saying it's like great, like the whole Superman scream wakes up the mother boxes is more, you could have done it in a way that was more symbolic, which is kind of what Joss Whedon was going for. People have gone deaf from volcanoes at huge distances. That much sound will cause problems. But it's clearly not behaving. It's not like we see people hearing the scream. The scream, like the waves travel and it just hits the boxes and they react to the boxes. They're not really like... actually, you know what? I am so worried that I have gotten... actually... Yeah. Pull this over here so you can't see what I'm doing. I'm going to pull up the movie and check real quick, because if there's a shot of like someone turning around hearing the scream, then I'm gonna be like, oh, I totally forgot. I'm gonna feel dumb. So let me take just 1 second to
but before
pull this up. Yeah. So I guess like he turns around. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm wrong. People clearly hear it. But again, the result of there not being anything happening with that much sound breaks the laws of physics. Yeah, Superman can fly. Superman as a character breaks the laws of physics. He's powered by solar radiation. My thing when it comes to sci-fi and superheroes is that if you set up a rule, as long as you don't break it, I'll give it to you. Is it like weird? Is it a weird moment? Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily like a flaw. It's just like, okay, like I guess he can send out sound shockwaves. It's weird. Like Superman's done way weirder things in the comics, but breaking the laws of physics isn't really like, he can fly, he can fly into space, get hit by a nuke, and get reanimated by the sun. So it already breaks the laws of physics. It's weird. I wouldn't say this is a very good criticism though, because it's like we haven't really seen him use that kind of a power. 5825. I don't really know why you see MauLer is a big Marvel fan when he hates half of the Marvel movies. I mean, I do too. I think I hit on the Marvel thing a bit too much in the video when it comes to MauLer, but he does, like, he defends like Civil War and Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home. Homecoming, it's all right, but like I haven't watched all the videos he's done on all of those, but sometimes he'll just say things that definitely make me go like, okay. There's a bit later in the video where we're gonna get to about Iron Man. I wouldn't say that he's like biased or a Marvel fan, but there's certain things in the Marvel universe that I've seen him kind of give a few concessions to. I shouldn't have hit on it that hard. It was more like kind of just giving some flavor to it. So you're right. I mean, he hates half of them. I hate probably 65% of the MCU, but not hate, but like ambivalent or dislike. The DCEU does have a higher percentage. Don't worry, I'm not a huge DC guy as far as the films go either. 59. Well, you have now made the accusation that he is inconsistent. May you please give an example of where he does this in a review? Let's pull this up. Almost the exact same thing, and he won't bring that up because it's yeah, no, the thing was that I didn't want to go into it because there's a bit later where he talks about Iron Man versus the Flash. If you stick around, Night Hunter, I will try to address that if we get there in this video. But thank you. You are correct. It's because I was saving it. Hour 18. In the first moment, we see an Amazon box. It has all the guards there. This is before the box wakes up. Let's pull up the movie again. Boop boop.
But before You see Justice League, I want.
No, there's something going on with it. Like, yeah, the sound wave's going. Um, I guess I could give that to you. Like, the way the film was edited to show it like all as one journey. The box is kind of making a sound, but that is like after we go with the sound wave to hit it, and they're there. Um, so yeah, like it's to me that was indicating that there was activity, but I'll give that to you. That's that. I think they could have edited that in a way where it wouldn't have come across that way. Um, 1 hour, 1 minute, 25 seconds. So for the Atlanteans not giving extra guards because rebels, when the box is the end of the world, is dumb. There's no need to defend against rebels if the end of the world is here. But what if you don't believe? Like, again, MauLer makes a bunch of points about how this is inconsistent with future Marvel movies, but then it's like, well, if we are going to allow for films that came out after this to be the cause of continuity errors, then you have to understand that, like, in Orm's character, what if he just doesn't think that he wasn't there? Like he wasn't at the battle. So, because Rebels in the box is the end of the world. But you're also not addressing my point about how they specifically said that people were getting taken by parademons. So, it's whatever. 1 hour, 2 minutes, 13 seconds. The hole is tiny. Bury it deep underground, not in a hole so small that it will serve as if someone builds a latrine on a camping trip through the woods. Yeah, I mean, that's fair, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Bury it like build a hole so deep you need like ladders to go down. Yeah. 1 hour, 5 minutes, 16 seconds. Yes, if those countries band together, no Cold War. Now, why are they wanting to band together if there is a world-ending threat happening? Which is, by the way, Reagan and Gorbachev agreed to pause the Cold War in case of an alien invasion. Yeah, see, it was just an example of, like, MauLer was basically criticizing, like, why the cultures behave the way they do, when it had been set up why. So, this movie is exactly what you're saying. Reagan and Gorbachev are agreeing to pause the Cold War. It is this movie. Like, there's the scene with Wonder Woman and Aquaman where they're like, oh, yeah, like, I guess our cultures really have no reason to be fighting. So I think not like you prove my point, but that's kind of what I'm saying is like the Cold War went on a while, even though it wasn't ideal when it risked everything because of the reasons that we had in geopolitics. So you can view this as Reagan and Gorbachev, this movie, I guess. 1 hour, 7 minutes, 17 seconds. So for the technological advancement, the movement of a group of World War I soldiers escaping a sinking ship easily kill the Amazonians is the moment they should be wanting to advance purely for their own survival. The only way they are not is if they all wish for death. Yeah, I mean that point's kind of weird because it's like we don't know, like we the problem is that even if you want to use Wonder Woman 1984, we don't get anything about the Amazonians. Like we don't know anything. If a society has stayed in the Iron Age for tens of thousands of years and they have one island and they're not spreading out from the island, they're not really poised to have a lot of advancement anyway, given the setup. But we just don't know. To me, it's not inconsistent. If they all wish for death, well, yeah, it's like it's dumb, but also isolating yourself on an island because there's no way that the world of men could possibly work with us is also a denialist, isolationist viewpoint. So it's just kind of like what it is. 11702, that is not a counter. The fact that movies does this is the problem. Okay, so Night Hunter's talking about people showing up at the last second. Yeah, movies doing that is not preferable. Again, I said in that you could have written it better. I wasn't saying that that wasn't the case, that this is the best thing you could do. I did say that multiple times. I'm just saying, like, it seems weird because there are plenty of movies where it does happen. I'd say, like, I don't know. Yes, like, I understand MauLer's adding to the overall, like, the whole scene from start to finish doesn't work. It was kind of just, like, a thing of... He like, really talked about it, like, as if it was, like, what? She got there, like, moves at the speed of sound, but she gets there, like, right before the bullet hit, you know, so... That's all I was saying. It was more like how he was addressing it, which is the whole point. Like, I'm not doing this because I think I need to be the one to right the wrongs of MauLer, or that MauLer needs to redo the video or anything. I'm just saying, like, it was a bit, to me it seemed a bit rushed, like he said it was. Okay, last point, and then we can finally get to the video 37 minutes in. Thank you. Fantastic. 117.55. And what effect that will have on the movie? It shows that Wonder Woman failed and she'll have to deal with that. It's a major thing, whether a superhero saves children or fails and the children die. Let's go to like, the video. It's meaningless to the overall, like, structure of... Okay, so Night Hunter is saying, like, well, if the kids did die, that would impact Wonder Woman. Yeah, that's true. That is true. I'm sure that people would then go, oh, well, that's way too grimdark. Again, my argument would be the weird thing about the Snyder Cut that I thought was weird is that Joss Whedon's cut, he includes the line, after the head of the terrorist says, back to the Dark Ages and the safety of holy fear, and the theme that Joss is making was about fear, and then it was kind of like, oh, this is like implying that they're influenced by the mother boxes, maybe, by like the increasing fear that is being brought on by these forces of darkness. So yeah, to me, I was like, huh, it's weird that they removed that, because I would like, what my point is that I would like them to tie the terrorists more in with the overall plot, because this doesn't really impact the plot at all. You could easily cut this, but then Wonder Woman doesn't get a introductory scene. So again, I mean, and Night Hunter, I did say, like, by the end of the video, like, yeah, the scene was done better in Joss's cut because he realized that it was a brief opening scene. So even though the Snyder Cut has better build up to the moment of her showing up, and he goes, like, he has her just killing people and doing dumb stuff, you could just cut it, but Joss kind of took the best way through it, which I was saying, definitely. I was just saying, like, the criticism just came across weird on it. Anyway, Night Hunter, thank you so very much for your comment, your breakdown of my criticisms, of his criticisms of the movie. This is where we go down the rabbit hole. I really appreciate it. You took a lot of time to do that, I know. You took the time to actually reference my points, and you didn't just say I was stupid. Because, yeah, there were things in there where I have to agree with you. Like, I gave some bad examples, like the nuke. Video time, yeah, let's actually get to it. But yeah, thanks, man. Thank you so much for the interaction. Okay, let's actually get to the video. We were at 21 minutes and 20 seconds. Oh, this is my video. My bad. This is the video we were on. Okay.
Superman was a beacon to the world. Why aren't you?
Which is on theme in Joss's version, with fear consuming the world. Yet Bruce resigns himself to the shadows because he doesn't believe himself to fit that bill. He feels he lacks that fundamentally important element to being a hero in this world, and he's not even sure Bruce Wayne, the man he essentially wears as a mask, has anything close to it compared to Clark Kent. He believes it should be Clark that is the face of the Justice League.
The world needs Superman. The team needs Clark.
I think it becomes clear in the subtext that Bruce Wayne needs Clark Kent to maintain a personal hope. as giving in to fear of what may come to pass has led him down an uncomfortable and cruel road. That's a hell of a lot more for his character than Snyder ever did, and it's building on stories that Snyder fucking started. I've always thought of
he literally just a rich man. Yeah, so Mauler brings up a good point that that Joss Whedon, his priority was the Trinity. Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman. He does give Batman more. I agree that he is building on stories that Snyder already did, and he is giving him, honestly, like more character development than more good character development than anything previously. But he also does do some bad, like, make fun of Batman moments. So Mauler had a criticism where it was like, he, like, nobody gives a crap about him in the Zack Snyder cut, and it's like, well, about the same, really. It's, I think the thing is that I don't want people to misunderstand this, so I'll reiterate it. Mauler's video is not the worst thing ever. A lot of it is valid points. Again, I am not someone saying that the Joss Whedon cut is completely worthless. I think that both cuts combined, you have, like, a much better film, regardless of the tonal differences. I'm just saying that overall, Zack Snyder's Justice League is undeniably, like, I can take the villain more seriously, and there's more room for stuff to breathe. It's not so quick cut. So overall, to me, it's better. I mean, I'm going through the DC movies again. Actually, with Nathan, I'm gonna watch Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League as close together as possible. So maybe I'll change my mind because it's been a little bit since I've seen the 2017 cut. So again, my stance is not at all that Joss Whedon's cut has no good qualities or that Zack Snyder's Justice League has no flaws, obviously, because I've conceded to many points. And I pointed out things I don't like about it and flaws about it too. I think it's just like I find doing this response is valuable because it will evolve the dialogue, because I can kind of be the person who's breaking down a video even though I agree with most of it. The last time you remember watching a superhero movie was 2008-ish, so all this stuff is new to me. Oh, it's a whole thing. Shadowfall, it's a whole thing. Like, it's become, like, our primary genre of blockbuster movies. Some people say it's getting to fatigue levels. I mean, I've been fatigued since, like, 2015. To be honest, it was starting. We've had some good stuff here and there, but
Joss is cut to be an absolute garbage fire, but when comparing it to an actual garbage fire, I'm having different thoughts.
We're gonna talk about Martian Manhunter later. Trust me.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
At least he actually has something compared to Wonder Woman's nothing at all, which should push us to some level of plot discussion, don't you think? What the fuck happened in this film? Steppenwolf is summoned to the first box, and the Amazonian Queen devises a plan to drop the entire structure into the water by breaking the wooden pillars. No idea how that works.
Me neither. I think the only reason I liked it more than the theatrical cut is in the theatrical cut they knock down the pillars and it just seals, like, the door. Which, I mean, it's not bad because it's a delaying tactic. In this, it was kind of like, you can kind of buy that they're like, oh, maybe we got him because we dumped it in the sea. I'm not saying it's, like, great, but both versions I didn't really mind, I guess. But fair point.
Or why she spends so long discussing it when the entire world is at stake, or why she takes so long to run up a wall only to come back down to strike one enemy. All of that's pretty...
Hey, you would have shot her in the back. We'll come back to the whole she's talking to an Amazon when the world's ending, because there's a point he brings up later where it seemed kind of contradictory to me, but we'll see.
Funny, sure, but the important question here is why the fuck would you think that dropping this into the water would do anything when King Goober over here literally teleported in? His minions can fly. Oh boy, you couldn't have guessed it. What precedes is a spectacular fight where questions raise faster than the arrows fly. Man, you may as well have repurposed those guns you got from the Germans. They'd be more useful than a fucking bow and arrow at this point. Then again, aren't the arrowheads simply inside you now? Maybe the armor isn't that effective at all, but
I can't tell if he was being sarcastic when he said spectacular fight. Again, it's been 80 plus years. Maybe they used all the ammo for the guns, or again, who knows? The arrows being inside him, I don't know. It could just be like snapped off in the armor. It was kind of weird. I don't know.
it was so cool. There's this
I will admit, I found that pretty cool.
moment where an Amazon simply refuses to pick up the cube with her arm and the incredible Amazonian agility we all know they have, to instead throw her own bow at the ground, rather than keeping it on her to use in a moment, to then die, in order to send the cube attached via arrow to her queen, who rode away when it fell to the right of her in the first place. Cube attached via arrow to her queen, who rode away when it fell to the right.
Okay, yeah. No. If she was right here and the cube was ahead, she would have seen that shit. This is a case of, oh, I trust my subordinates to be able to do it. But yeah, it's a bit lame.
Of her in the first place.
Guard it with your life.
The queen, the one who drowned many of her people for this box, doesn't give a fuck when it's rolling right by her and doesn't look to defend her people as they die to get it back to her. I guess she knew it would work out. She just hopes this woman can loose the arrow split seconds before being bisected. Speaking of, what took the Amazonians so long to arrive? Look how close their city is when the portal is first seen. They're alerted immediately. 8 minutes go by and they couldn't get to Steppenwolf. Even when our guys have done at least half the journey, they may have been able to put a stop to Steppenwolf's plan. He had some trouble when 6 of them ganged up on him. Imagine a whole army. Had they been here on time, or had the box been in their fucking city, this is over. And with Steppenwolf's departure, why don't the Amazonian army further pursue him? This box is your responsibility. It leads to the destruction of your world. Wake the fuck up, you— Oh, that whole ocean of arrows is tearing the shit out of your queen, by the way.
Fire has not burned for 5,000 years. Men won't know what it means.
Then go tell them yourself, you witless muppet. This is—
I think my ideal movie would be that you have the Atlanteans and the Amazonians reveal themselves to man. I know that doesn't jive with Aquaman exactly, but that was going to come out after this. 8 minutes is not very much distance for horseback riding, though. It's true. They would get there a lot faster. Again, it's one of those things where in a movie, like when things are cross-cutting, sometimes it's hard to tell like exactly when things are supposed to be happening. Like maybe they left later than we. It's I'm not gonna defend it, but yeah, they're not exactly far away. Especially because they clearly designed the building to collapse into the sea if someone tried to steal it. That would be my explanation for why it's not in the middle of the city. But my ideal version of the movie would be that they reveal themselves to mankind, Amazonians, Atlanteans, and then you have a much more tense, like, larger conflict. But again, that's like, that movie then becomes like 6 hours, right? So definitely you'd probably need to rewrite it or split this into 2 parts or something.
This is about the end of the fucking world. So Steppenwolf eventually makes it to Atlantis and takes their cube because King Orm is retarded.
I mean, yeah.
King and perimeter guards were taken. He won't send reinforcements. He says all the reserves are needed in the rebel regions.
He straight up doesn't care that the world-destroying cube is going to be taken.
I mean, yeah. Like, he doesn't, I guess, you know, like, he's a dick. You know, and again, he wasn't there. I think it's fair to say that some people might not believe that what happened did happen. I know it's not a great argument, but you know.
Provide reinforcements. They want me to believe that King Orm—
God, that reminds me, I haven't watched Aquaman since theaters, and I'm not really... It kind of diminishes in my mind, and part of it is the CG, as much as I love Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson.
Orm doesn't care about losing his kingdom to an outsider.
And all 7 kingdoms will have to concede that I am the one true king.
Okay, anything to make the plot move along.
They did make an Aquaman movie, and it was the most profitable DC movie in this new lineup. It made like $1 billion. It kind of blew people away. I thought it was pretty good at first. I think no, they did. Aquaman is now considered badass again, for the most part. The movie's biggest problem is that there's too many scenes of, oh, we're talking, and then we're interrupted by explosion, and then action scene happens. I think that's the biggest problem with it.
Rise, Atlanta!
Come to think of it, why isn't Mira making use of her royal guard? If her father...
Again, Aquaman came out, you have to view it as it came out after this movie. It was originally written in 2017. I know I said this a million times in the last video. I'm going to keep saying it because you can't really get around it. It's not really continuity error from Zack Snyder's Justice League's point of view. It is an inconsistency from the Aquaman side, I suppose.
Is alive, he would of course care about this and send reinforcements, and if he's actually dead, then...
Because you have to think about it like, I mean, even Mira's accent and hair color changes between movies, so it's like, well, can you really say that this is inconsistent with Aquaman when it's the same hair color that it originally was? It's something weird about it. It's weird.
She inherits the kingdom. Please plow the rest of your fucking team in here, you insufferable wanker. Also,
yeah, Amber Heard sucks.
so why aren't you using your powers to fuck with Steppenwolf more efficiently? Like, she normally opens it up with ease all the time, but for some reason she opens it up once, and then closes it again, and then fails to open it back up for so long that she gets strangled by Steppenwolf.
I mean, I'd advocate to cut as much of Amber Heard from this version as possible, or any DC movie, or any movie, really. So, I'm with you there, MauLer.
Why isn't she using it to help Aquaman here? Wait, she's straight up letting him get away. He's fucking musing on his triumph with the box in hand, and she's just watching. What the
I guess you could say that, you can't really do anything once the boom tube's around him. We don't really see anyone interfering, when a boom tube starts, teleporting someone, I guess.
fuck are you doing? I thought you were good at causing pain. Well...
and shitting her own bed.
Only one box left. Good thing Cyborg has it, and after deciding it can resurrect Superman based on fuck all, they give it the old college try.
It's not entirely fuck all. They know it can change things. They know that it created Cyborg. However, why it doesn't make Superman into a weird cyborg Superman is a question for the ages. Or why they don't think it will.
Try. Only during the scene, they all forget that the mother box exists for about 10 minutes. Would be great if someone was to go grab it while everyone is fighting over Superman.
He can easily kill all of them. I think they kind of have to concern themselves with the fact that they're fighting God. It's dumb. Like, I hate that whole, oh, the important object is just over there. Like, he's gonna bring up in a moment that Batman could get it, which is entirely true. Especially because in this cut, he isn't doing anything off screen, so... Fair point, but as for why they don't, it makes sense to me.
Wouldn't it? Like, while they're battling, maybe a bat person isn't there because he's busy getting it. Nope, the box is taken by Silas Stone and then by Steppenwolf because Batman wasn't doing anything until much later when he helps a soldier up. What? Wow, lucky Lois turns up to calm Superman down, eh? At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the city, localized entirely within this field of view.
Yes.
Man, if only there was a cut here that gives us a reason for Batman to be missing and for Lois to have been brought in by someone going to get her. Like killing two birds by flying them the fuck into each other. If only someone made that cut. Anyway,
Yeah, fair point. It's true. I mean, having Batman bring Lois there when... in the previous movie, Aurora Borealis, I totally don't remember what you were talking about. But having Lois be brought there because Batman had a vision of the future regarding where he was told about her, or a weird dream, who the fuck knows how that works. Yeah, it does make more sense.
back to the box. Why did he conclude it was the smart decision to tag the box so that it could be found by the heroes instead of giving it to the heroes? What the f-
They were fighting Superman. But then again, yeah, you're right, because he just, like, leaves with it. I guess he wanted to die? Oh, the steamed hams reference. Yes, yes. I'm not up on Simpsons.
fuck are you doing? He had no reason not to, and Steppenwolf could have been killed right there. The movie might have ended had Silas decided not to fucking hit it with a laser that he apparently did to mark the box with superheat, thus detectable with a scan for temperature anomalies. What if it fucking cools down, Silas? It's a magic.
I would say he knows more about the box than most people. So that part of it, I would say makes sense. But yeah, the whole, now that I think about it, he takes it, tags it when he could just hang out next to Lois. Again, in Whedon's cut, he had Steppenwolf come in and snag it. So, which I didn't like, but it's tough.
Magic box, for fuck's sake.
3.5 million Kelvin.
What the fuck do you think a reasonable high temperature is? That would literally explode the air around it. Earth is a crisp the moment you described that was the case. And fuck me, as if there isn't a unique signature for Bruce to track already on these undestroyable energy change machines from the multiverse. Come the fuck on. Come to think of it, how did Silas even create Cyborg? Because the ship was...
Because the mother boxes do things based on your will, is based on what you want, like your intent, what you want to change. So the rest of what he said is valid, though.
alien, and the box was kinda alien, and a source of energy, and that might just save him if you plug him into it? The fuck? What is the thought process here? How did...
If you go back to the scene in Batman v Superman, the video that Wonder Woman watches, it's very clear he's trying like different things, and the box is like the last thing he tries. So
How did Silas get away with sticking his dying son to a wall while experimenting on him? How does he even have access to the body? Look at it. No way a hospital or a government would allow this level of inhumane testing. How the...
that's the great part about having kids. Who's gonna know? And also, this is a universe where a guy got fed a Jolly Rancher after allowing Lex Luthor to take an alien body. That's terrible, but, you know, yeah. Besides, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
How the fuck does he even have the body? And there's no way Silas got approval.
Yeah, okay, so in Batman v Superman, there's a scene where Lex Luthor bribes a dude to let him acquire a dead alien body, and he pushes a Jolly Rancher in his mouth and says, "It's cherry." It's an acid trip of a scene, let me tell you.
To do this, how the fuck did he get away with taking the box or seemingly misplacing it? Why wouldn't these parademons having broken in and stolen several workers not have been a huge alert immediately? How is the security so shit to allow all of these nonsense things to happen? This is like the most valuable thing on the earth, guys. The DoD aren't simply going to allow it to be misplaced. It's a mystical relic from the fucking Nazis with immense...
But they don't know that, because Silas is like the first person to actually be able to make something happen with it. They even have a scene where the guy comes in, he's like, "Oh, there's like a box missing," and Silas is like, "Oh yeah, like I was just checking it out, it's kind of just a dumb little thing," and he's like, "Oh, okay." So clearly they don't realize its importance, but he does. That's pretty well set up by the movie.
Power. How could he possibly get it out of there and drop it into his closet? All of these things going this way is the only way we get Cyborg at all. Seems a little bullshit to me. He even establishes that his son now simply has the power to launch nukes. His teenage son, who hates him, thinks of himself as a monster, and semi-regularly talks about how shit the people of Earth are despite clearly trying to help these people. That's a little concerning, my dude.
Fuck the world.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the dialogue later.
Silas is trying to empower his son. He realizes that he can't get to him by like sympathizing or playing the old I'm your father card. So he's trying to like say, "No, you aren't like a freak. You have power, and that means that like you still have control in your life." That's like he's trying to use that as a way to bring his son out of despair. And of course, because it's Zack Snyder, it's immediately like, "Oh, you could launch all the nukes and kill us all." It's like, oh god, okay. So
The ethical questions relating to Cyborg in terms of his power level and the decisions he has to make are incredible. What a topic to raise and then not explore at all. What a kind thing he did, giving this woman $100,000 from the bank when that will be spotted instantly by the IRS and tracked. Only to discover that someone somewhere was stolen from, and she will be lucky to avoid jail time for grand larceny and taking full advantage of the crime.
the scene is not meant to show Cyborg making a rational decision. It's supposed to show you his humanity and how he is a good person who wants to help, but unfortunately he does something that's very naive. And the movie is aware of that. In no way is it trying to say that Cyborg is doing something that will go off without a hitch. So
But hey, she was happy and he smiled. That's character. What a childish view of the monetary system we're a part of. It's indicative of the sheer potential lost.
you brought up how he's a teenager. That's entirely what it's trying to say. Is that like Cyborg is dangerous because he hasn't faced his demons, and that's like the arc he goes on. Is like at the end of the movie, he's matured enough to where now it's like he will be a bit more intelligent about his decisions, hopefully.
Especially considering this is the strongest part of the movie. Speaking of how awesome Cyborg is, we've lost
Good shot to use.
the mother box because he forgot Steppenwolf was right behind him.
Well, he didn't forget. And I know where this is going. And I know how people are going to respond to this, but he didn't, like, obviously.
If he was on point, he could have used his power to erase buildings and blast Steppenwolf away. But MauLer, you protest. He was concerned for his father's life. He was distracted. I mean, he could have blown Steppenwolf away as soon as he landed, but he didn't.
I guess, good point. I mean, the scene would have been the same if he blasted Steppenwolf, then saw his dad, then had the scene, and then Steppenwolf just comes in and hits him anyway. It would effectively be the same scene, but I grant you it would make him seem less in the moment, as if he forgot. But yeah, it's, you know, yeah.
He could have flown over to his father, broken the glass, and gotten him out of there, but he didn't. And how could he be concerned for his father's life when he doesn't know what this machine even is?
It's all about, I guess, like, he would see his dad, like, sometimes when you look at someone, you're like, oh, you're planning to do something, something, aren't you? And the person's like, I would say that's, to me, that's how I read it, is once you see his face, you're like, oh, he's saying, like, this is the end, you know?
I'm sorry, I forgot. He knows because he has full access and control over all machinery all over the world, correct? So why the fuck didn't he turn that machine off and save his father? Why not turn it back?
The movie was more saying that he has control over things that are, like, connected digitally, like, on networks. It was more like he was, like, the meme god of the internet, not so much, like, I can take control of any machinery anywhere at any time if I can see it, you know?
Back on to fucking melt Steppenwolf and save the world.
Maybe it has to charge because it's a lot of power. Because you even brought up yourself, if it's that hot, like if he's gonna tag it with that much heat, it would need to build up some power. You can't just like spam it like it's you know. Oh yeah, sick looking axe, isn't it?
You cunt. This story is broken. He is.
I wouldn't say it's broken. It's more in need of slight refinement.
Is aware of the machine and should stop it, and he should be preventing Steppenwolf from getting any closer. And why the fuck is he the only one here? Where is the Justice League? Do you guys remember these people? If only one of them could move fast.
Man, MauLer's getting really mad.
Let's talk about where they were. Fuck, I forgot this happened. We get the fight scene almost exclusively from Cyborg's suit just fucking up. Like, the mother box might have been saved. Clark might have fucking helped them stop Steppenwolf right here. But
I mean, and this is the thing in both cuts, is that we set up... Yeah, he's angry. We set up in both cuts that, that the boxes are aware of Superman being gone. So the fact that he's created from the mother box, he's affected by the Apocalyptian technology. they see it as like, oh crap, now like the threat that could actually beat Steppenwolf is back. We better I guess try to kill him or try to break down this this team unit, I guess. He's gonna bring up in a sec that it only happens this one time in the Snyder Cut, and that's completely true. It's not great, but this specific aspect of it is explainable.
Your stupid suit just happens to fire an auto-defense shot at Superman. Because what? It senses danger? Good thing it never fucks Cyborg over in any other way throughout the whole movie despite being in range of Steppenwolf and Darkseid.
It's interesting. I wonder, they could have even done, because I know MauLer's going to bring up later, the boxes try to do the whole One Ring thing and tempt him. You could have even just had his suit do that, because it is like the machine within him. So it is weird. MauLer does have a point there.
It's almost like this only happens here specifically for the plot. In Joss's
It's true.
version, we have plenty of references to Cyborg still figuring this shit out.
I got a language in my head that I don't speak. Every day, I wake up different, modified.
As well as having another example of auto-defense.
One that doesn't whine.
Rather than having complete control. It's
That's a bit different, because in the first instance, it was attacking Superman, who was a threat to the boxes and or the invaders, and in that scene it was to defend his father. So it's not quite the same thing, but I grant you, it is an example of him losing control over it.
It's not great, but it's better, and it's not 4 hours. Regardless of that, how come Wonder Woman didn't tank the shot with her shield? Why didn't Flash push Cyborg or the arm? Why didn't Aquaman fucking do anything? Why didn't Cyborg profusely apologize right after? Fuck you, work harder.
Yeah, good point.
Kal-El, no!
Shut the fuck up. Cyborg can tank Superman's fucking laser? Batman can tank Superman's fucking laser?
The whole last movie that these two were in was about him developing technology to fight Superman. So is it really like that hard to buy, like considering he made an armor that could tank hits from him? And they set it up in the movie, so to me that's not really an issue.
For this long? What the fuck? Thank the gods your fucking butler created this technology for you yesterday. Jesus Christ.
Arthur, we need to restrain him.
Yeah, you do. Why the fuck didn't you bring kryptonite? It literally renders Clark semi-harmless. You have a whole-ass spear of this stuff, you
What did happen to that spear?
fucking idiots.
I'm surprised Joss didn't include that in his cut, to be honest.
You're telling me the moment Flash tries to attack Clark, Aquaman attacks from behind and they hit each other, knocking them both out of the fight, thus preventing them from helping Batman. Fucking hell.
I mean, Superman kind of helped, but yeah.
And all of you stupid twats forgot the mother box this whole time. It's the only major concern you have. When you decided to resurrect Superman, your contention was on whether the box would activate, bringing Steppenwolf and thus the end of the world. How do you forget that shit? Why is amnesia a fucking epidemic in this universe? Moving on.
I made previous. I don't need to.
The team have a plan to come up with. Use Cyborg to interface with the Unity and charge him up to break them away, with the Flash having built up this charge from running. How do they know this is how it works and that this will work? They just do. How do they know that?
Cyborg.
They have the time. They just do. How are they in time to do this? They just are.
These boxes together are world destroyers. They'll get inside you and find your weaknesses and your fears and use them to destroy you.
What the? How the fuck do you know that? What is this bullshit? Of
Good point.
course, it facilitates his big payoff at the end of the film, and that's kind of the problem, because what the absolute fuck? The mother boxes will try and defeat you with your fears if you plug into them as a mother box created cyborg person while also being charged up with a speed force power.
No, I think just they did that because they knew that they were in danger of losing. It's not necessarily the specific circumstances, but yeah.
Powered fast person? Diana knows this how? Why the fuck is this even the thing that happens? Fucking hell.
I love his reactions to stuff, dude.
Remind me, why can't we have Cyborg launch a nuke at the site?
Explosives won't separate the boxes. Only strengthen their bond.
Why don't we just destroy it?
They're an unknown form of matter. Now they love heat. They absorb it, hold it in their cores.
Oh, they feed on energy, so we can't really use energy as a source to separate the boxes, if you will. You know, like electricity, plasma, I don't know, a lightning bolt. But I thought that separated the Unity.
Yeah, fair point. It's Zeus, so not exactly the same as the lightning of the Speed Force, but yeah, fair enough.
Fucking mongoloids. And even if it doesn't stop the Unity, a set of missiles will wipe out Steppenwolf and his stupid bug army. It will leave the Unity
Wait a minute.
Missiles will wipe mongoloids, and even if it doesn't stop the Unity, a set of missiles will wipe out Steppenwolf and his stupid bug army. It will leave the Unity unguarded for you.
Point. They purposely go to a place that's irradiated. Zeus made an oopsie. Not exactly. No, point. They go to a place specifically that is irradiated, and they're not concerned, like they're fine with it. Counterpoint. The heroes don't know that, so I guess, yeah, Cyborg could. But in the Joss cut, there's one family there, so yeah, it's like, you know.
You guys to stop it with ease.
Bruce, pull back. You're not gonna make it.
Gee, if only someone had the ability to fire an arsenal at will to save the world. But that lot ain't the only way this falls apart. For instance, imagine the...
Another interesting thing is that MauLer makes the point of earlier, oh, what a naive point of view about the monetary system. And then in this moment, he's like, well, why doesn't he, like, just take control of a bunch of missiles? I'm not saying that that's, like, a counter or anything. It's just interesting. I know, like, the fate of the world is a bit different than giving a woman some cash, but I don't know.
Unity was...
Cut everything I just said. Cut that line of thought.
Instant. Imagine it took just 5 minutes. Imagine it took an hour. Would be pretty awkward, wouldn't it? Lucky.
I mean, they fail. So clearly, you're right. That is addressed in the film, actually.
It only took exactly the right amount of time that our heroes would need to stop it, even with the ability to rewind time, which kind of also breaks the movie, right? We have the ability to rewind time with no consequence whatsoever.
I'm gonna say this at least 50 times. We don't know that there's no consequence. That's the thing. It's like, my argument here would be, yeah, MauLer, we could explore the consequences of the time travel that is being set up for a future movie. However, that would be another, like, 2 hours. It would be like, oh, in Infinity War, I know they didn't do this, but, like, imagine if in Infinity War, they set up the time travel more directly, and then you just go, like, well, doesn't the time travel break the movie? It's like, well, no, in the next movie, we're gonna, like, deal with the time travel. And Endgame has problems. I know you know this. I'm not saying you don't. I'm saying that, clearly, by having in Batman v Superman, we have the Flash running back in time, we have these future visions, this is building to something. There are clearly going to be some sort of ramifications or consequences to the time travel. So saying that there is none is not being willfully ignorant. It's just not giving the movie the idea that there could be consequences that we haven't seen. Maybe Amber Heard will get wiped from existence if we're lucky.
There's no butterfly effect, and he has immense control. The world is rewound exactly as he needs it to be, to have specific platforms that take him to Victor, not to...
It's because he's literally, like, rewinding it so he has, like, half a second left. So the convenient platforms are just that the explosion is staying, like, right ahead of him. So he's going, like, right to the moment before the explosion. I wouldn't say it's, like, too convenient. It's more just, like, a cool visual, I'd say.
Dimension connecting to Victor at the latest moment possible that charging him would work.
So MauLer says that, and then later on he's gonna go, okay, what are the limits of this power? And it's like, well, maybe the limits is that he can't go back more than like a few seconds. So that's why he has to touch him like right at the moment, because it's like that's all he can do, you know?
He was either astronomically lucky, or he has absolute control over every aspect of this ability. Well beyond what we understand about his abilities and what we thought.
They set up, he says that he has reached near the speed of light before, so he kind of has an idea of what will happen. The movie sets it up.
Thought would be possible, especially when a more seasoned Flash apparently has far less control.
Am I too soon? I'm too soon!
Again, it's like the difference between time traveling back like 1 second as opposed to what, like 10 years. I'd say that it's reasonable to assume that a more seasoned Flash would still maybe have difficulty, especially if, like you said, there's consequences to time travel. Time travel back 1 second is a lot less damaging than time travel back 10 years to a timeline. I would offer up, as is the case in, I would say, many sci-fi franchises. I think if you're going to mess up a timeline, 1 second is a lot different than years. But that's just it's not in the movie, but I inferred that.
I don't like to break this rule, but when I approach the speed of light, look, crazy things happen to time, but if I do it, I create massive electrical power.
Why would they establish that this is a rule he cannot break?
Well, it's because then if he could break it, if he could do it, then he'd just do it now, right? He'd go back now and get the boxes. So it's risky enough to where you don't want to use it unless you have no other choice, right? So that is kind of what it's saying.
Only to have him break it twice and save the world. Why wouldn't he do this whenever anything cataclysmic takes place?
Okay, that's a very good point. Apparently he does use it somewhat. He reaches near the speed of light. I don't know if he actually time travels or he just comes close to it at that previous scene, but yeah, that's fair.
Whenever someone dies, whenever he fucking misses the bus. Imagine the Flash took 1 minute to clear the bugs. Imagine he charged up and pushed Steppenwolf right the fuck away.
I don't know if he can, but yeah.
Allowing Cyborg the time he needs. Then, when he's told they are ready, run back and charge up to nail everything they need to do to save the fucking world. Why would you not have Flash clear the area? Why have him fuck off and charge up so early when he ends up spinning for the entire fight?
'Cause he needs to. Like, that's the amount of energy you would need to overcome something like in terraform planets. Again, how do they know how much energy? Not set up exactly, but he's clearly doing it because he has to. You know.
He could be saving people. Nope, we can't have that. We get this plan. A plan that still gives the team the upper hand, only to almost ruin that because Batman forgot to nail this one guy on a turret spamming for presumably as long as the Flash has been running. Had Flash noticed the sheer bombardment from that one bug, he could have hit him and carried on running. But nope, neither the Flash nor Batman do, and this one guy managed to nail this shot. And that happened because the Flash wasn't doing a circular track out of range of the turrets when he can move at the speed of fucking light. So distance away from Cyborg isn't really going to change much at all. And
well, it clearly does, because he was because it clearly does matter because they fail, and if he had been 1 second earlier, it would have worked, and that's why he had to time travel. So, how long do I plan to stream? I'm an hour 20. I'm definitely gonna go to 2 hours. We're making pretty good progress. Only like 15 minutes, but
and that's on top of
I'll go to
Cyborg
2 hours,
deciding to
probably.
plug into the Unity before dealing with Steppenwolf. What the fuck?
If he had, I'm sure the criticism then would be, well, the mother boxes are the priority, deal with them because they're going to destroy the world. So he has a team, so it's fair enough.
You doing? You have access to building destroying lasers. Stop Steppenwolf to then prevent him from killing you and your teammates to then approach the fucking Unity. You moron. Can you guys fucking imagine if Superman was 1 second too late and the axe split Cyborg's head open? Then again, I guess that's not much of a worry when Steppenwolf was absolutely not even close to hitting Cyborg. The fucker aims like a sack of piss. Though it's a fun surprise, right? Seeing old Soup show up right when he's needed to the surprise of the team.
Alright.
His name is Clark, you plank. Though it was...
Again, it's not clear to me why she calls him Kal-El. They don't really talk about Superman versus Clark Kent in this series.
It was good of Alfred to guide Superman here while simultaneously not telling Bruce about it. You'd think he'd let the idiots know that fucking Superman is on the way to save their lives, but I guess he wanted it to be a nice surprise. Fucking
Yeah, that's a very good point. Because we've seen in the previous movies that Alfred can just tap into Batman's comlink. Superman just immediately goes there straight away in the Whedon cut. So, yeah, yeah, good point.
Based Alfred, hoping the team was dead because they're so cringe. But yeah, hopping back, imagine Steppenwolf simply attacked instead of having himself a little walk around. Or
maybe he was, no, good point. He probably wouldn't have hit the box if he just swung like...
Imagine something even stupider, like the Flash ignoring Cyborg when he tells him he's ready for the charge. Wait, that doesn't happen, does it?
Barry, I'm connected to the Unity! You need the charge to get inside!
You can move at the speed of light, motherfucker. He told you he's ready. Fucking go.
Again, as I said earlier, he clearly hasn't built up enough energy. How they know exactly how much energy? Cyborg might have given him a good idea. No, it doesn't make sense. I'd say that's a different... I'd say your criticism is off. I'd say the criticism is more how do they know how long, rather than why doesn't Flash go immediately there. Yeah.
Either this is a major hole or incredibly bad luck with shitty editing. It's also fucked because Steppenwolf drops here with Cyborg moving to the Unity, but we don't see him connect up for another 70 seconds. What the fuck is everyone doing in all of the moment-to-moment drama? They just freeze if they aren't on screen. This finale...
Yeah, it's the thing about editing sometimes where if you don't convey enough that things are happening simultaneously, you get this kind of stuff.
It breaks apart almost as much as the rest of the plot. Only these flaws regard the destruction of Earth. You could call that significant, but is it as significant as adding 2 hours only for the characters to be assassinated, reduced, confused, or used as fan bait? We've been over Wonder Woman, and Batman is basically hollow, so how about the Flash? He is characterized by being awkward and lacking friends.
Like in the Whedon cut, but yeah.
I need friends.
His father is falsely imprisoned. He wants to get his father out, and he's looking for a job. He gets one by the end.
His foot's in the door! That's my boy right there!
All of this is in the prior cut, and it's not too...
No, there is more in the Snyder cut at the end scene. But if he's referring to the earlier scene, then yes. But B, it's completely different because the editing and the pacing of the scene is it feels different. Like as a scene, it's not. It takes its time a bit more. So we're saying it's all in the prior cut. It's like yes, but editing and pacing can make a scene different, even if the overall things and lines that happen are the same. So. And the Snyder Cut does have more at that ending bit with the, that's my boy! Got his foot in the door!
2 hours fucking longer. In fact, what gets added for Flash is this scene. This hilarious fucking scene that people actually have the balls to praise. A scene.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of like, this is exactly what Zack Snyder would do with a Quicksilver scene. So, I mean, it is supposed to be ridiculous. It's supposed to be hilarious and funny and stupid. So I guess it worked.
Where a woman traveling at 20 miles per hour at most crashes into a car, propelling it meters into the air, flipping over and exploding in all of its 2003 CGI glory because Zack is a child. During this
budget, like they had to like finish visual effects, and I'm not gonna pretend like it's all great. I'm just saying, like, it's not because I know he's saying it's a child. He's a child compared for all of those reasons, but these special effects, and then this scene is basically supposed to be like a Quicksilver scene, hype.
Flash decides to focus not on all the drivers or pedestrians in the area that he could look out for or are affected. Instead, he decides to stroke this woman's hair.
I mean, he must have, if you want to say it like that, maybe he did it after time returned to normal, but I guess that's not what we see in the scene, but we'll let him finish the point.
As she slowly plummets to her death, he then pockets a hot dog and stares at her as he brings her to safety. People are trying to justify this scene by saying it's his future love interest. If anything, that makes it more creepy.
Yeah.
Imagine this scene was exactly the same, but Flash was played by Movie Bob. It's also got such shitty editing that Snyder wants us to think the Flash got back in the room with the hot dog to convince the woman in the room that he wasn't out there. Though they show the store owner staring at the girl on the floor as the glass breaks. The glass would break in real time after he pushed his finger through it, and the car would have rolled in real time. This exchange of looks happens in real time, which means she saw him, and your shitty editing can't change that.
Yeah, but that's the point. Like, the way I saw the scene is that she knows that he did that. That's the point. Like, that's the joke. Like, when I first watched it, I assumed that, yes, she did see it, and she saw that he had super speed, and that's why she was looking at him like that, and that's the joke. Because he's like, oh, you're gonna hire me? And he's not saying that he did it, but it's like, oh, you have super speed, very clearly. That's just how I interpreted it. So, to me, that's not bad editing. To me, I thought that was the joke, but I don't know. To each his own.
Also, there are cameras. On the topic of
yeah. I mean, we saw him on camera in Batman v Superman, so I don't know.
Self-indulgent garbage. Zack, why are you zooming into this man tickling the fucking burger in slow motion?
I have no idea, dude. Again, to me, like, I saw the scene, I'm like, yeah, that's Zack Snyder doing a Quicksilver scene. Like, it's very weird.
Why is there a fucking sesame seed flinging into my screen?
The ultimate dumb slow-mo of a Zack Snyder film.
I don't know that you could have made this driver stupider. Also, what is this face? You've been shot out of your car just after a fucking crash. You look bored and aroused.
Yeah.
You can be whatever you want to be. You're brilliant, man. Absolute best of the best.
Your kid was one of them, Dad. One of the best of the best.
This is the most substance the Flash has in the movie, and it's one line reflected back. Hardly what any reasonable person would call an arc or development, just...
The weird thing is that MauLer will occasionally reference the things the Whedon cut did better than the Snyder cut, but then stuff like this where the Flash is actually given, like, more, then it's like, oh, well, it's not enough. And I know it's because he would say, well, it's 4 hours long. I think the Flash, I actually kind of got what he was about more in this film, to me, but we'll let him go on and
just repeating a line. He wants his father to be proud of him, and so he did this. I'm honestly surprised this didn't hit more people as an absolute flatline. The Flash's big payoff of being a great guy and doing a great thing was him deciding to use the powers that just got dropped on him randomly to save the world with no repercussion. It's literally the Flash sitting in a room with a button that says,
we don't know that there's no repercussion, but I understand. I guess then my thing would be, okay, so any superhero. I guess what MauLer is saying is he wants the Flash to like give something up. Which is fair. I'm sure they'll do the whole letting his mom die if they ever get to that Flashpoint movie.
Save the entire world, and we're gushing over the fact that he pressed it. Do you honestly reserve immense levels of pride for someone who decides the world shouldn't end and makes that decision with absolutely zero cost to themselves, only benefit? I know we're supposed to hate Joss right now and all of his works, but you do understand that the reason this is meaningful, right here, is that Tony's entire arc revolves around the perceived reality that he only cares about himself.
The only thing you really fight for is yourself. You're not the guy to make the sacrifice play, to lay down on a wire and let the other guy crawl over you.
I think I would just cut the wire.
He is regularly reminded of how much he wouldn't sacrifice while trying to make the world a better place at any expense that comes to him. He guides the nuke to the mothership assuming it will kill him. He is willing to die to save the Earth because he believes it's the right thing to do. That last call to Pepper to say goodbye, just missing her, hits that little bit harder when realizing a 3-movie arc leads to this payoff. Barry pressed a fucking button that no one on God's green or Snyder's nightmare Earth would ever think not to press.
Except he doesn't know that it's going to work. So the thing is, the reason that it is more similar to the Tony scene is that the reason he's saying your kid was the best of the best is not self-congratulatory. It's because he knows that very well, like, he might die or something might happen to destroy the universe or something. He doesn't know if it's going to work because he's never done this before. So it's kind of the same thing. Like, he's just doing one last shot to try to avert the thing. I'm not saying it's like as good, but I'm saying that it's not necessarily like he thinks he can do it without consequence.
Costing him nothing, testing nothing.
It tests his abilities more than ever before. Going back in time, pretty intense.
Proving nothing. How exactly are you the best of the best? Not to mention that he joined the hero.
I mean, has anyone else time traveled to save the world, I guess? As shallow as that is.
Team not to make his dad proud, not to do the right thing, but because he didn't have friends.
I need friends.
Wait.
You guys think this is better? Also, what is this music? No worries, we're going to talk about the soundtrack too. Instead of running in a fucking circle, Joss had him risking his life fighting monsters and saving people. I will take meaningful action over this self-congratulatory garbage any day.
Just my earlier points. It's not that clear-cut.
Snyder had his chance, and he fucking blew it with essentially all the characters at this point, and there was something for him to create here, but he didn't go beyond a line or two in concept. Everyone is absolutely cooming over this final scene when it's entirely spectacle. It only happened because of how nonsensical, poorly communicated, and executed the plan was, and the reversal of time being said to have repercussions, but in reality, does not.
We don't know. I mean, that's not exactly, it's not a counter, but we just don't know.
This is like a job, Joe.
I even heard people speculate that maybe they're going to use that as like or maybe just the Flashpoint. There's a lot, that scene or the Flashpoint scene to retcon Joss's, but whatever.
Job.
That's my boy right there.
His father is proud that he has a job. Laugh my ass off. This scene is just as terrible in the final cut as the first. But like, the scene looks awesome, pity there's nothing in it, and that's the kind of praise I have when this film is doing well. For example...
He's my hero.
Why? Why do you feel that way? Is there any insight to garner here?
You know we could do this in a nanosecond, right?
We could.
Oh, that's true, and they don't answer that, they just highlight it. So, you guys reckon this is a huge upgrade from the prior cut, and you hate the other cut for this reason?
That's the plan.
Okay, we're not ready for racially charged.
Well, I don't get The reason I don't like it is I don't get it why you said that, but Sal likes that line, so for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, that's cringy as hell for dialogue, but you can't deny the Flash is socially awkward. He wants to make friends. He thought this was a moment. He's stared down by a black guy and says, oh shit, that's probably racially charged. It's a fair mistake to make for someone like him. It seems to line up. We then get a fist bump at the end, making it clear that he was mistaken and that they have a connection. It's a tiny, neat payoff. Meanwhile, him saying Superman is his hero is
and that's fair. And that's true.
Out of nowhere. When does he ever mention that in any part of the meaningful scenes about his life and what inspires him? Why is Superman significant to him? Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I mean, it's I buy more that Flash would be inspired by Superman than that the world in the Joss cut that he's trying to say that, oh no, even though this is the same world as Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, everyone's just so depressed, like Superman was this pure hero, we're retconning it. So to me, it's more plausible. I'd say that's my my explanation for that.
But wouldn't this be your primary opportunity to explore the why behind it?
Really missing Superman right now.
No, I meant like actually exploring it, because this seems stapled on to me. The Flash doesn't seem to give the smallest of fucks about Clark, specifically when his hero is resurrected, returned to form and right next to him. Seems a little bullshit. Hollow, manipulative. Not that it didn't work, people are sucking that line's dick everywhere. I'd have wanted, you know, substance of any kind. You can even have Cyborg share something about himself. And why don't they dig the grave super fast? And what, if anything, can we do to connect these two characters even slightly? Because Snyder's version ends after that line. What did Joss's do?
You know, I could do this a lot faster. Is it weird that it feels disrespectful?
Yep.
Oh, they're digging slowly because they feel uncomfortable digging up a fallen hero's grave. Excellent.
You got struck by lightning, huh?
And you...
Explosion.
Where are the accidents?
Yeah, it's us.
Oh, that's like actual substance. They have camaraderie over being the accidental heroes. Would be a pity if someone cut that.
Again, he didn't cut it because he's not gonna. He's just including what was in his original cut. But yeah, no, that's a good addition. That's a good scene.
Especially if they ended up keeping the fist bump, because it's got no meaning behind it anymore beyond the surface. So, which creator do you honestly think handled those scenes better? Especially considering Snyder had more time, resources, and freedom. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed something from the Snyder cut.
What do you think, man? You think she'd ever go for a younger guy?
Can't imagine why anyone would cut that. But maybe you aren't
The Flash Wonder Woman stuff is cringe in both cuts.
convinced. Maybe you're sitting there stewing on the fact that this line was just so fucking good that it...
It's whatever. I didn't really even remember that line occurred before I watched the beginning of this video, actually.
It painted a picture of Flash for you that is
But I know he's not responding to me. He's responding to people he's seen online, so don't get the wrong idea.
Breakable. Well, let me ask you this. Would Barry Allen, as presented in the Snyder Cut, a man who is thoroughly inspired by Superman, not have a fucking existential crisis when that same Superman tries to beat him to death? Not only...
I mean, yeah. He's kind of freaking out anyway.
Is there no introspection when having brushed so close to his own execution? But the lessons he may have learned by looking up to Clark should now be in question. He is seconds from being incinerated by his hero, and we never hear him deal with this. It changed.
I mean, to be fair, in both cuts, the whole Superman tried to kill us thing isn't... It isn't really as developed as it could have been.
Changes nothing for him. This is because the line is thrown in not for characterization or meaning, but for masquerading as such. I can only imagine Joss would likely have cut this moment due to it being impossible to reconcile alongside his hero attempting to kill him with the time they had.
It's not impossible to reconcile, it's just like... more could have been done. It's not impossible, but it's like...
All style, no substance. That's something that's said for...
I wouldn't say that him just having a line about Superman is like style, but I understand what you're saying.
Many creators, but it's not more expertly represented than in Snyder's products. For instance, why would the Flash's shoes break apart but not his clothing in general? How?
Because he's using his feet to run. We'll let him finish his point. I'm probably...
How are his feet not fucking wrecked here?
Because any time in any fiction you have a speedster, as well as having super speed, you'd have to have durability because your body would shred apart if you went that speed. So he's superhumanly durable, hence why he can do that. And the shoes are not durable. So if his body is, enduring the speed, but his feet are doing the super speed because he's running, that is why his shoes would break off. But any speedster in any fiction, unless otherwise explained, has to have durability because otherwise it makes no sense.
Yeah, he's not wearing his suit, and he's got human vulnerabilities. Do you know what?
I might have to rewatch both cuts. I don't think they say the suit is needed to protect him from super speed. I could be wrong, but nothing has shown, aside from the shoe shot, which that could just mean his shoes. I assumed he just wore that because he fights super villains, because he needs a costume and he needs to be resistant to damage that can hurt him. And he's gonna bring up, oh, will the Apocalyptian weapons work? I'm like, yeah, because they're Apocalyptian. They're clearly like higher beings.
What it means for him to be dragging the concrete apart? The visuals can be very neat. The substantive details are broken.
Again, if you're a speedster, you gotta have durability. It's just how it is.
His flesh should be ground down to the bone against the concrete. The Flash is a glass cannon, a normal man using the Speed Force.
Just what I said.
Yet he survives insane bullshit right here in the Super...
Because what in the movie MauLer indicated that he's just a normal guy who happens to be fast. Like he gets shoved into stuff. So very clearly the movie's saying that he is durable. He's just not as durable as like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, or Superman.
Superman Resurrection. Right here in the initial battle against Steppenwolf. Right here when he's blasted by alien artillery. Right here when he charges into stone stairs, breaking them apart. And that doesn't even begin to cover the crazy levels of plot armor in this movie. Like Mira being spared by Steppenwolf over and over again when he has one specific job, the Amazon.
It was weird they used that shot because she's clearly affecting him. But I'll grant you that.
And Queen was spared, and Cyborg escaped death because of old Steppy picking him up this time when he could have taken his head off. Or maybe, instead of chopping him in half, he hits him with the body of the axe handle. What the hell? The glass on Batman's ship can't be broken through by Steppenwolf after several punches, but he can smash through the glass meant to contain 3.5 million Kelvin in one lot.
Batman has technology designed to fight Superman. Whether you like that or not, it's been set up in the franchise, so I can buy that it would be durable enough to withstand a near Superman level threat. As for the Kelvin thing, yeah, I mean, in reality that would crack the earth, but in reality it would crack the earth or kill everyone on the planet because it'll just burn the atmosphere. But yeah, that's not really my point. My point is that
lol. Superman doesn't kill any of the Justice League, but not for lack of trying. He's simply only allowed to use execution moves when there's something in place that can save them. Like seriously, had Alfred's test failed here, also what the fuck are you doing testing it this way, you crazy old bat? Bruce would have simply died. Like one of the braces explodes, but the other one doesn't?
I wonder why he didn't just wear his suit from BVS, to be honest.
Despite being blasted for longer? And why does getting blasted across the way into a car do nothing to him? It did in the other one.
Yeah, I would say, like, off-screen. It's not a good argument. I'm saying, like, there's no evidence that it didn't affect him. I'm just saying, like, the Joss Whedon cut did improve Batman's reaction to the damage. So.
Imagine Superman had killed them all. Might have changed the movie a bit. Not to mention Darkseid not using his Omega Beams to insta-kill everyone here. This
do we know he can use it through the portal? I mean, I know this goes into the argument in the first, like, why he didn't come through. I didn't really have, like, concrete arguments or anything. I'm saying, like, do we know he can? I don't know.
Shit is throughout, by the way. Even the good stuff is splattered by Snyder's idiotic goo. As you guys probably remember, I paid some compliments to Cyborg and Silas near the beginning, but that's only as far as not including everything that damages their character choices and the reality of the plot lines they're a part of, lots of which isn't included.
You know, it's the funny thing where I was really motivated to do this, and then now I'm reaching a point where I'm like, I agree with a lot of what he's saying, so I know someone watching might go like, oh, like, what's the point of this? You know, I guess I just don't like leaving it unfinished, but I might,
did in the prior cut, like the Parademon showing up to the house to explain it coming in later when we knew that was something they did regardless. At the very least, it wouldn't stop it for more than 5 minutes. And what were the odds of the Parademon coming to have a look at the very moment a cop car drove past? The creature is solely focused on finding the box. Do you really think it's gonna care about a cop car?
This one was weird. When I was first watching it, I was like, well, what are the odds? I guess they're fairly rare. I don't know. That part seemed a bit weird, and then why does it wait for the cop car? The film has shown them being stealthy in other sections, like how they break into the lab and such, but yeah, you know, whatever.
These are normal and amateur cause and effect fuck-ups, sure. But most importantly, why would Cyborg not warn his father about this and protect him from future Parademon visits? He can send his father's phone messages at will. He fucks this up, and his father is kidnapped as a result. I would say it's a drastic improvement to remove this scene entirely. In the Joss cut, this functions as a supported surprise, not a setup. Certainly not one that breaks a character. And to be honest with you, Silas should have figured this out already from the previous break-in, but everybody is stupid in this universe. And what more can be said about Silas outside of him somehow not seeing or hearing this motherfucker ahead of time? Well, had he provided the mother box to the League, he would have saved the day, because allowing them to track it means they have the chance to get it back, but you could have given it to them now, especially when it means the end of the world.
Silas doesn't... I have to rewatch the movie, but I don't remember if Silas would know that it's the end of the world, but yes, he should have just given it to them. Ah, voice crack. Given it to them.
That's on top of the fact that he never would have had this idea if not for the laser apparently being a viable option as of fucking yesterday, as if this movie needed more contrivance. That, comboed with a myriad of holes and stretches, allows the film to happen in the first place. I said he was a good actor, and he is, but this film is filled with horrible acting.
We've made some real progress. Let me show you.
You're right, Dr. Stone. The test came back negative. Everyone's clear, including you.
Do you think Batman is connected to the object?
The first two were serviceable to bland. The guy laughing in the cell is just horrible. I agree.
You're looking at the hottest thing on Earth. Exact words I said to my prom date. She dumped me anyway.
Yeah. Why is Wonder Woman looking like she's seen the fucking bus roll in? This is Darkseid, woman. This is the future you are most terrified of. The war that you were warning people about. Can you please, for once in your screen time, look like you care?
Kal-El, no!
That was a fucking retake, by the way.
Kal-El, no!
Wrong. It was a different take, most likely, that Joss decided to go with. You don't just shoot one take for a scene. You know, he wouldn't reshoot just that. Citation needed. Citation needed. It's far more likely that both of them just use different takes. That it makes more sense that way.
Gal Gadot's acting is such a meme that they tried to fix this particular reading with a re-recording and it still sounds like ass.
Kal-El, no!
And I've not even covered her narration for the war flashback. Holy shit.
Darkseid was met in battle by Earth's defenders, the old gods, men, Atlanteans before their—
Oh, and a whole bunch of those examples were cut in the Joss version? Yep, we're definitely worse for it, huh?
Yeah.
So, what about Aquaman? Well, he's Aquaman. He basically spends the whole movie being a cool guy who does cool things. Oh, know, maybe you think that's unfair since I took that clip from Justice League. I've seen people bumbling across the internet to argue that all of the cringe was Whedon's, of course, because Snyder's much more mature. So let's play his version, shall we? Oh, that's weird. The gesture is in there, but there's no sound. I guess Snyder never recorded Aquaman doing the cringy yeah because he is of a higher caliber. But wait, if we check out the original trailers airing before Joss was even connected to the project, what does one discover? Oh, I guess he saw fans complain about it as terrible Whedon cringe in 2017, and so decided to axe it. They would
yeah, maybe he did. It's gone though, so I guess my thing would be, would you want it in or not? I don't know.
Wouldn't be proof of other things like that, would there?
It wouldn't be proof because we don't really know. Like, I don't know. There's just not enough to.
It's good to see you playing well with others again. Just like a bat. I dig it. Maybe temporary.
Oh boy, and everyone was sure that was Whedon. We lost a J.K. Simmons scene just to avoid the cringe.
I hear you can talk to fish.
Even the fish joke was originally Snyder. Guys, you have to understand, Snyder was the cringe all along. He just wanted you to think that his version was entirely dissimilar, when in reality, he was the driving force behind so much of what makes it fall the fuck apart. For instance, this whole shot in IMAX and preserving a 4:3 adjacent aspect ratio. He didn't intend to do that when filming. You can see that from so many shot comparisons to the trailer back in 2016. Red Letter Media have shown this as well. What they haven't shown is that the headspace when looking at shots for what Snyder would have created from scratch after the deal was made is a bit different. Look how everyone is framed in the nightmare scenes, or the bonus Steppenwolf scenes. Look at Darkseid's final scene. No awkward headspace shit there. He shot this originally intending to cut it to size, only he began claiming it's his vision to help distance it from the Whedon cut as much.
Okay, I'm willing to come around on that, for sure. My thing is, why? Like, to me, that doesn't make sense as a way to distance it. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but switching the aspect ratio to, like, make it feel dissimilar seems like an odd choice. I don't know. Like, there's other things you could do. Like, you're telling me that he wouldn't rather just put it in black and white and have it widescreen? Because that would also make it feel dissimilar. And he did do, like, the Justice is Gray with the 4:3, but the 4:3 just doesn't... It's more plausible to me that he shot stuff in IMAX and then he's like, oh, I totally want to do... when this comes out, I want it to be, like, all an IMAX type thing. But, you know, maybe you might be right. I just think, like... And I know Zack Snyder is not necessarily an intellectual titan, but to me it seems that's not like a smoking gun necessarily.
Much as possible, which also explains the black and white and the bloated runtime. Even
the black and white, from what I understand, is how the assembly cut was for all those years, but
Superman's suit wasn't going to be black at first.
Actually, he explained this. I'll have to verify, because, you know, for all I know, here's the thing. It could be bullshit, but from what I understand is, like, Warner didn't want the black suit, so he filmed the suit with a material that the way it was, he could make it black later. Because as far as I know, Henry Cavill didn't reshoot anything for the Snyder Cut, aside from the nightmare scene at the end. So that to me is like, well, unless he did reshoot stuff, but we know the suit was going to be black based on other things that came out from before the Snyder Cut. So I'm willing to believe that it was a material that he then could make black if he chose, but Warner didn't want it black. So
guys. And if you want to claim he's changed his vision retroactively, then we need to have a chat about words retaining meaning. He tried anything and everything within his power to separate these two cuts. But enough about that. Back on with Aquaman. He's barely a character. He talks about not wanting to be king, finding most people as selfish and superstitious. This is something we get in bonus Willem Dafoe scenes, but we already had it in the Joss cut. This is just bloat. He's sort of dragged along because he's told he has to.
The mother box our people guard is not safe. The time has come. Take up your mother's trident.
Somehow it's only his responsibility to save the world. Then why the hell did you even bother defending the stupid box in the first place?
Your mother left you to save your life. It would have been her responsibility to follow that monster to the surface and stop him. Now, it's yours.
What? You guys aren't going to do anything? This motherfucker is about to end the world, and because of tradition, you're sending one guy to hopefully stop him.
Yeah, these cultures suck. Yeah.
Is this a fucking joke? Why are the Amazonians and the Atlanteans so goddamn useless? Is it because their involvement might have ended the plot too quickly?
It wouldn't have necessarily ended the plot, it's just the movie would have then been 3 hours longer, I guess, because you would have had to deal with so many geopolitical things, but I'm not saying that's a positive. In my preferred version, they would have been involved.
Okay, I guess that's good writing. Regardless, like I said, he's essentially pushed into doing stuff. Man, imagine finding
Yeah. No, you're right.
out more from Arthur, how he feels about the situation, what his ideas on it are. Imagine a bonus scene in the movie that gives you more insight to what he feels.
We're with you till it's done.
Honestly, I think we're all gonna be dead way before that. It's an honorable end. But we gotta shut Steppenwolf down. I know we went to war with the Amazons, but that was before my time. And you know what? I don't want to die. I'm young. There's shit that I want to do. I've been alone my whole life. But being part of something bigger like this...
This tells us something about him, whether cringy or not. Snyder, bizarrely, tries to have him generate some drama with Cyborg where he believes he might be working for the enemy.
Well, you know a lot about these boxes. Makes you think.
You know, you're trying to say something.
Oh, I'm saying it. How do we know you're not working for them?
Did they forget that Aquaman knows Cyborg rescued all of the people Steppenwolf wanted? Do they remember
His dad was there, so...
that Aquaman knows he saved the Justice League from drowning? He's provided the main item the
I think, yeah. No, MauLer's correct, is that there should have been more Cyborg, his suit going crazy, so it'd make more sense for Aquaman to distrust him.
Enemies want to this group himself. Is this just a random line to make it seem as though there's drama because a successful film did that as well?
His father's dead because of us.
No, Aquaman. His dad made a choice that actually kind of screwed you guys over while also potentially ending the world.
Earlier, MauLer was mentioning why aren't the Justice League there? So, based on that being true, then you could see Aquaman being correct, but yeah.
Not to mention being something that Cyborg himself could have prevented, but oh well.
In the Joss Whedon cut, Aquaman is like really mean.
God, just hearing Cosmonaut's voice makes me on edge.
Mean to Victor for no reason. He's kind of like a jerk overall, and it never gets resolved. But in this one, he's sympathetic to Victor, and he talks about how he feels bad for him, and they're kind of bros.
Listen, actually, I realize this whole thing, this whole process, if you're responding to Cosmonaut Variety Hour and people like that, you know, actually, this has been a big mistake. I've fucked up. I don't want to indirectly support his cause.
So you can't find them, or maybe you don't want to.
Man, I'm not doing this on purpose.
Right, because you can't control the machine. We're asking a kid who just lost his father to go up against the most powerful machines in the universe. It's not fair.
I thought you didn't care.
I never said that.
This is a completely different relationship now.
Wait, what? That's not true at all. Aquaman was a dick to Cyborg in the Snyder Cut.
You know a lot about these boxes.
Yeah, again, that's something where Cosmonaut will do his manipulative editing thing. Why am I not responding to Cosmonaut? Existential crisis. Why am I even doing this? Let's do the cut of this breakdown where I'm reviewing Cosmonaut, and it's way shorter, and I'm not at just an hour into this.
How do we know you're not working for them?
And that one actually made no sense because Cyborg had done nothing but support the team. Snyder had Aquaman say it to prompt the history lesson about the box and Cyborg's construction. There's no apology for that, it's dropped entirely, not to mention Aquaman's commentary on Silas is inaccurate to the situation and against what we know Aquaman would say about a man having prevented the League from saving the world. He should be pissed that Silas stole the box. But the thing is, you're wrong twice over. The Joss cut removed the alternative Silas plotline. He's alive by the end. You can't have Aquaman saying Cyborg is going up against the boxes when his father died. That wouldn't make any sense. So of course this line is dropped. Secondly, Aquaman has a fantastic fucking reason to be pissed at Victor in Justice League. They all do. His suit malfunction, his inability to control the machine might have just cost them the entire world. How would it be unreasonable to be angry in that situation? Not to mention that when we hit the final fight, Aquaman has clearly come around to Cyborg and they combo up. Other than that, Aquaman's...
To me, it's like almost the same. It's just a difference of execution.
Says, yeah, alright, and my man, while drinking and...
See, that's why the thing that you said earlier about the was weird to me, because I know fans complained about my man and alright, so it weirds me out that he would cut like one of them, but not more, or not one of those other ones that are more prominent, but again, it is irrelevant.
And seeming like he doesn't care, just like the rest of the original cut, because Zack didn't do anything for Arthur Curry. In fact...
God, no, I'm seeing it now in the headspace thing. Yeah. No, I think you're entirely right. I'm coming around. Yep. The headspace. I can't stop seeing it now.
He fucked with Aquaman. Are you aware that the Atlanteans can speak to each other underwater, Zack?
It's true. The half-breed wields King Atlan's trident. He commands the sea.
Then that half-breed is your king.
They don't do these weird fish noises. Are you aware that only the royal-blooded people can survive out of water? That the normies and the guards, they have to have suits to survive. You seem to forget this for the entire scene of pulling Atlanteans out of the ocean.
Again, I'll repeat it again. You can't really use stuff that came out after 2017 as a continuity thing, but...
Showing the entire...
Would I want it to be consistent? Yes, that's not my point.
Drag, the drop, the interrogation that was already set up by Willem Dafoe.
Guards near the stronghold had been disappearing. Snatchers from above.
Talk to King Orm.
Yet you show it, and you show...
Yeah, see, if I was doing it, I would have cut the Amber Heard scene and kept the Willem Dafoe scene. And then, if you were going to cut this down, you would probably cut this too.
So the question Steppenwolf asks, then throwing the dude about, then using a spider to get the answers he wants. After splitting his skull.
I mean, they're Atlanteans, that doesn't really bother me, but I understand.
Steppenwolf is a smart boy. So you already had a scene set for why Steppenwolf could get to the mother boxes. They call to him. You've shown he can teleport in, so that's fine. Then you add Atlanteans were being abducted and interrogated. You don't need this. And then you showed that happening. You also don't need this. Then you made the entire scene redundant twice over because he has a device to do that for him. But you didn't even need that. If only someone could have cut all of that fat out of the movie.
Volker told me you would come. The firstborn of beloved Queen Atlana.
Are you aware of the fucking accent Mira has in Aquaman? She's not British.
His short...
it might be pointless for me to say the whole, you can't compare this to anything after 2017. I think MauLer is aware of that. It's more of like commenting on the general continuity of DC, so if you've gotten this far, I apologize if I was missing the point. I do think that it is kind of pointless to say, though. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is 2 hours into part 2, and we're 1 hour into the video, and I'm kind of reaching a point where... I don't know why I did this. Well, no, I do. Like, I do think there's some things in this video that... I understand like why he made it. I'm not upset. I did the breakdown because I thought it'd be interesting. I think I should be reviewing like honestly bad stuff like Cosmonaut. So I'm gonna get this out there, and then maybe I will switch over and abandon this. But I don't know. I still haven't seen the last like 40 minutes, so maybe I'll watch that as I melt after doing this 2-hour recording. Again, thank you so much if you watched this. You have a good one. Go watch MauLer's other content. Comment on this if you think that, if you're saying that I'm slowly coming around to saying, because again, I've never been one to say like Joss Whedon's cut had no good stuff in it, or that it didn't improve the movie in several parts, if not a lot of parts. And maybe I will come fully around. We shall see. All right, everyone, have a good one, and just